ask that.
We are recording.
Thank you, Maddie.
You're welcome.
This is a meeting of the Land Use Review Board. It's 1 p.m. on Wednesday, December 10th. I am Janet Hurley, the chair, and I will ask other board members to introduce themselves. Kirsten.
Kirsten Sultan.
Alex.
Alex Weinhagen, good afternoon.
And Sarah.
Sarah Hand, good afternoon.
Okay, and Brooke is unable to join us today. So we are 4 board members. That is a quorum. And do we have any additions to the agenda? No, I see you're shaking your head, but your hand's up, Kirsten.
No additions to the agenda.
Okay.
Just going to offer to show everyone there's no one here in St. Johnsbury.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. And so no public comment on non-agenda items, or I don't know. Oh, no, Greta's here, but she's kind of here on behalf of NRPC. So maybe she doesn't have comment on non-agenda items. Is that true, Greta?
No comment on non-agenda items.
Okay. Then let's jump right back in. I should have double checked this, but where did we stop on the other day in terms of, did we get through all the village centers?
Yeah, yep, we were about to go on to planned growth areas is my recollection.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's my
Yeah.
recollection.
Okay.
There is.
So
there
I'm
is the
going
track
to.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm going to share screen.
Thank you so much. I
And-
can't get on the Y drive, so
Oh,
appreciate you doing that. Yeah, I've
That's no
tried,
problem.
and there's
Oh,
some kind of
Pete.
network issue.
you have your hand up.
Yeah, just real briefly, I was just going to say, I'm going to bow out for the rest of the meeting, but if there's anything that you wanted to have me join for at any part of the meeting, just ping me and I'm happy to join back on.
Okay. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks all.
Thank
Janet,
you.
Janet, can you clarify which document you are sharing? We've had many versions of this.
This is the working document. So this is a document after our conversations the other day. Kirsten and I made edits that reflected our conversation. And then moving forward, it should look like, it should be fairly close to part 2. Pagination is going to be off.
What I meant to ask more specifically is that there is a draft that has been posted to our website for Friday's meeting, and it appears to be a corrected version of what we discussed through the last meeting. So I have that up separately on my screen, and I just want to make sure that if I go back and forth, we're looking at the same document.
So I do not want to make any changes in what got posted. This is a working document. You see what I'm saying? So this is not the same as that PDF because this is
Alex,
this is going to change as we talk. I'm going to put comments in just like we did the other day. So the PDF, so it will after our discussion, it will appear different than that PDF that got posted for Friday.
I understand. I'm just trying to understand the working document that you have. What was the source for that document? Was it the one that was posted for our Friday meeting? If so, then the one I'm looking at and the one we're working to edit today are the same documents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the one that got posted is a PDF. This is a Word document. So this Word document was used to create that PDF early this morning.
Very good. So as of right now, they are the same. They have the same words in them. And the moment we start making changes, then the Word document advances. Got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Right. Can I just also further explain a little bit, Alex? So the PDF copy that's posted for Friday's meeting is the same as the working document as Janet has indicated. However, all of the track changes were accepted to generate that clean copy for legibility.
Got
So
it.
Janet, I'm interpreting that you pulled up the Word copy that still has track changes above and comments,
Right.
et cetera.
Right,
That
so
are
the
not part of the
pagination
PDF.
will not,
Yeah.
the pagination won't be the same, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
And Greta's got her hand.
Go ahead, Greta.
I'm all set now. I was just wanting to make sure I had access to that document, but I needed to refresh the website to see it.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay, so as we did the other day, we are scrolling through this, stopping to discuss any issues that people might have. So this first part on planned growth areas is just basically restatement of statute. And then we start responding with comments on the Northwest Regional Plan. We had no comments on the Enosburg planned growth area, apparently, in the draft, nor the Fairfax planned growth area that required attention. Richford, there is a proposed revision here. The Richford, town of Richford had two planned growth areas, one to the north of the village center and one to the south. The northern area includes a feed facility and farm on the periphery. Local zoning, plans for growth, complete street planning, and walkable distance information is needed to evaluate and support the extent of this proposed planned growth area. I would like not to say this half-mile thing, just because based on our conversation the other day, we were not using the 1/4 to 1/2 mile measure as a rule, so to speak, when we are evaluating these growth areas. What do others think there?
Greta has her hand up.
Greta? Greta, you are
So I guess
muted.
my
Oh,
comment was just that we aren't thinking of it as two PGAs because it's bisected by the river corridor.
yeah.
But maybe that's, a nuance that's not important.
I would agree that this is one PGA that is just split by the river corridor. But can I have the board members comment on whether to take out this sentence that I've highlighted?
Is it not a factual sentence?
Well, we discussed this the other day. I mean, it's not a measure that we are using to determine whether a planned growth area is, too big or, right?
I
guess
agree.
it is
I guess
factual, but
what's more important to me is whether we want to have the required revision in. If we do, then some statements that justify it make sense to be in the paragraph. If we don't,
Right.
then yes, we can delete that and whatever else is there to
right,
back
but
up a
this is
revision.
not a statement. What I'm saying is this is not a statement that would support the revision in my mind, unless there's more, unless we feel like that 1/2 mile is completely not walkable or something. So that's what I'm saying is just, right, it's a factual statement, but it doesn't mean that the growth center doesn't meet the criteria that we are looking for, unless we provide more information there. So, Kirsten?
Well, so I'm interested to hear from Sarah, but I'll first say, I think in this case, it's okay to admit it, but I think the supplemental information that this contemplates pertains to local zoning, growth plans, complete street planning,
Yeah.
and some information on walkability, which wouldn't necessarily be limited to distance, but I think the thought here is that some additional information is needed to support the scope of the planned growth area for Richford. And we can
Yeah,
certainly
and that's
recognize
in
that
the
it's a single,
previous, that's all
yeah,
in the previous sentence.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm okay with omitting that sentence.
shoot. I am not in the
Are
Word
you in the
version.
PDF? I wondered.
Oh, here it is. I was looking at my the wrong screen. So sorry, let me get to that page.
Can I just talk while you're scrolling?
Yes, please.
All right, I'm fine with that coming out. I think the sentence before the sentence that you want to delete is more important. Because I think that talks about, you know, what was in my comments? About local zoning plans for growth and complete street planning information will be helpful to evaluate the edge of this planned growth area. Particularly that sort of northern edge as it extends onto a feed facility and farm on the periphery. I think the sentence before that gets at that issue more so. So it's fine.
I agree with Sarah, so I'm fine with it coming out. But I guess what I'm looking for is actually a little more rationale for the discomfort with, and I
Yeah.
see it written in the sentence before the one we deleted, but I'm looking at the mapper of Richford, and it doesn't seem like I have zero concern about the immediate area north of the village center that's mapped as planned growth area. There, it's a distinct set of intersecting streets and neighborhood, and that seems like an absolute no-brainer to be a planned growth area. So I'm not sure which part of the northern portion is what we're concerned about. Is it the portion
Eastern.
that's beyond the northeastern portion,
Northeastern.
beyond the railroad tracks or the rail trail or whatever that feature is there that I can't quite make out?
Is that where the feed facility and farm is?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
How
what that
about-
sentence is getting at. And I don't disagree if that's the section of the planned growth area that we're speaking of, because yeah, it does look a little less settled with less infrastructure than the area closer to the village center. Could very well be a perfect spot for planned growth, but yeah, I could see wanting to get some more information.
Okay, so revise the, so we really haven't described how to revise it. So we would like either that northeasterly corner to be removed or to provide more information supporting that area's inclusion, right?
Mhm.
Is that
Yep.
what?
So I think this gets into the other thing that we talked about on Monday, which is we don't necessarily need to be prescriptive. We can say we'd like additional information justifying this. And I think that's a route to go on this. I saw that Greta had her hand up briefly, so I was hoping that she might be able to chime in to tell us a bit more, but we could always just ask for it and see what we get.
So Sarah, are you happy with the required revision language as Janet is currently editing, or would you like it to be more simplified to simply to just say provide additional supporting information without the PGA mapping phrase?
Yeah, I'm fine with just simplified information.
Do you understand, Janet, what Sarah's getting at? Like,
Yes, I do,
saying-
and I take out the northeast corner. I think they could revise the PGA mapping in response to this, or they can provide more information to support the proposed boundary. Is that, does that work?
I'd like to hear what Greta has to say.
Go ahead, Greta.
Well, I'm a little, I'm trying to figure out whether it's, useful for me right now to try to provide more information, or whether I should just clarify what and how to submit that information in a response. So that's going through my head, and I don't know, can we talk a little bit about what would be most helpful here? And do we want to go through, if there's multiple requests for more information, is it, because this isn't just like one sentence of more information, right?
Right. So I think what I would say is, if you feel that we're missing something that is in your submission, you can point us to that. But otherwise, I think we'll have to have those detailed conversations offline, because we need to get through this.
Right.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It does. And I guess the only thing I would say is that, like, we submitted the same amount of information for each PGA, but I guess for Richford, it wasn't enough, but for others it was. But so maybe that's just
Yeah.
a statement of fact.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
So
okay.
Yeah, because each area has different qualities and characteristics. And so
Okay.
this
The
one,
information that I would have to add was not submitted, so it would be extra.
yeah. Yeah. Unless you think that the information that we seem to find lacking is provided in your current submission. You see what I'm saying?
It's not in our current submission. It would be
Okay.
something extra.
Okay, got it. Okay, so Sarah.
So I think, just for Greta's benefit, this sort of gets to, I'll use the CCRPC meeting as something that we as a board discuss publicly, is some of these areas that might be enterprise areas, but they're included in PGAs. It's a little bit like, all right, tell us more. What's the rationale? There might be, I think at the CCRPC meeting, we heard that. We haven't heard that from Northwest yet, in terms of, this is more sort of an industrial site that's including your PGA, not an enterprise. Tell us more. And so I think we can work offline to get that information. And I think a simple sentence or two saying, please tell us a little bit more about why you decided to go PGA versus enterprise, might be a good thing.
Yeah, and to clarify, Sarah, from my perspective, I raised some concerns at the CCRPC meeting on that note, because of consistency and planning, but often consistency. I think the VAPTA mapping methodology actually does encourage enterprise areas that are adjacent to a planned growth area to be included in the planned growth area, which is what Northwest has done here in the Richford example. So for me, I don't really need more information about why that feed area is included. It seems to meet the mapping methodology. I think what we're asking for more specifically is less about that commercial industrial use area and more about the overall northeast quadrant of the planned growth area around it, which appears to be distant from the village center, not connected by sidewalks or pedestrian infrastructure, at a low residential density, and mapped in a zoning district that is, I think it's called village residential. It doesn't appear to be a mixed use district. So those are all reasons that, make me say, is it really a planned growth area, or is it a commercial industrial zone next to a residential zone that's just rural general? And that's the kind of information I think Northwest could provide to sort of say, nope, you didn't quite understand what we provided. Here's why that area of Richford makes a lot of sense as a planned growth area.
I guess I would respond to that if it's possible right now. Sorry. There was a break, but I wasn't acknowledged.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Greta.
So I just wanted to clarify the use of mixed use for planned growth areas. Like we were also considering higher density residential areas that may allow some, neighborhood commercial uses, but we weren't looking for solely, zoned mixed use or planned mixed use in name districts. But yes, like higher density residential that may allow for like neighborhood commercial uses would still be something that would be mapped potentially as planned growth area and in alignment with the methodology. But so we can provide more information on the underlying zoning. We can provide more information on our complete streets methodology and how we looked at, at least 60% of E911 points are in an area that, has access to at least one form of complete streets infrastructure in alignment with the VAPTA methodology. So if that's helpful to provide that sort of documentation that was done for Richford, we can.
Sounds great, Greta. That would be super helpful in my view. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't taken the time to look at the zoning information. All I've been doing is clicking on the zoning layer on our viewer and looking at it very briefly, and that doesn't really give me a good sense, which you can definitely provide for this area with at a later date.
Right. And primarily we do use the future land, like the municipal plans as opposed to zoning, but in cases we look for more detail in the zoning, but mostly we're using municipal plans.
Kirsten.
So just to echo what Alex said, that kind of supplemental information, Greta, sounds very useful to me.
Okay, is the wording here okay with board members at this point? I will read it. Richford includes a planned growth area that is split by river corridor. The northeastern area includes a feed facility and farm on the periphery, distant from the village center and in a zoning district that does not appear to allow higher density residential. Local zoning plans for growth, complete street planning, and walkable distance information is needed to evaluate and support the extent of this proposed PGA. The southern area includes the gateway to Richford, extends to the elementary school, and provides depth to the village center.
So Janet, I would just suggest adding one word in the sentence that's local zoning, comma, plans for growth, comma, complete street planning, walkable distance information is needed to evaluate and support and then northeastern extent of this proposed PGA, because that's the portion that I think we're interested in hearing more about.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Otherwise, I like it. And sorry, Greta's got her hand up, and we all.
Yeah, I'm sorry to belabor the point, but the village residential is a higher density residential district compared to.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take that out.
And it does have
I was just going with what Alex said when he was speaking.
But so the feed facility is in that same zoning district, Greta, as the rest of the area to the east of it. It's all one zoning district.
I'll have to double check on the feed facility, so we can provide more information on that.
Okay. I'm clicking on it just on our viewer, and I think it's it's a slightly different district. At least it appears to be a commercial industrial district for the feed facility versus village mixed residential or village residential for the areas adjacent to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, more info, always good. Yeah. Janet, my other suggestion is more global. We changed our format when we jumped from village center to planned growth areas. In the village center areas, after each one, we indicated whether it met the requirements
Oh,
or
yeah.
not.
Yep.
And we made a declarative statement. The proposed area meets the requirements for a village
Yeah, I
center.
think we need
I
to
think
do
we
that.
should do that for each of these planned growth areas. So it's
And-
clear that Enosburg, Fairfax, and most of Richford is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that for one. And then just make a note to add it for the rest.
Sounds good.
I'll just quickly mention while you're typing, Janet, I had made the same observation that I was respecting the Rutland formatting, but I agree with that the town by town analysis, whether it's planned growth area or village center, village area, should sort of look the same. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Yeah,
And
thanks
by
for
the way,
putting that
thanks
in.
again
we
for
are learning
driving.
as we go.
Yeah, thanks for driving and taking notes and sharing screen too, Janet. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So it sounds like we're good through Richford now, and we can move on to whatever
St.
the
Albans.
next.
St. Albans City.
That one we're good with, right? Can we keep going?
Yep. St. Albans Town.
I know I had a comment about St. Albans Town in my comments, but I think they were related to the
Not PGA.
Not PGA. I think they're related to the village area. So I won't squawk about this one.
Okay. Okay, Swanton.
I think I had, well, sorry, I got to look at what you wrote. Jumping between documents.
This is making it sound like there's more than one PGA.
I agree. It needs a little wordsmithing.
Yeah, I fixed it there. Here.
So I'm trying to figure out from reading this if the minor tweaks that are proposed are really constitute a required revision, or if we can declaratively say that this meets the requirements and then make some suggestions. Yeah.
I think this is rather sort of like Richford, and we should keep them similar in terms of tell us more. And if it appears that the deciding factor is outside of the sewer service area, well, you aren't required to be in the sewer service area to be part of the PGA as long as you have municipal water, I believe.
Or soils. Or
Or
no,
soils.
that's PGA. Yeah, yeah. So maybe delete this sentence.
That was my suggestion, and yeah,
Same.
you're welcome to delete it. It was meant to be an advisory comment, not meant to be a conformance comment. That's why it starts with the word consider.
Oh, was that your comment, Alex? I see. Okay. So,
But it's minor.
So-
It's a little anomaly in the mapping. It's not a conformance issue in my mind. It's just an observation and something potentially for them to think about in an advisory fashion.
okay. So, advisory recommendation instead of required revision.
Yeah, that's how I prefer to see it worded.
Okay. All right, good to go? Yes, okay, village areas. There's a little highlighted, let's see, 20 village areas are proposed, 13 municipalities. Most comments are advisory, however, additional information and/or revisions are required for X as identified below. So I guess we'll count that up when we're
Yeah,
done.
Can like plug in whatever X encompasses after the town by town analysis is sort of finalized.
Comments correspond
like-
to those for which a VA was included in mapping with the exception of Montgomery. Remind me why that is. I
Yeah, and
can't remember.
actually Montgomery is not proposing a village area, but I think we can just, it is addressed below. So actually, I think we can take out the latter part of that introductory sentence. I had noticed that myself earlier today. I just don't think we need to say, with the exception of Montgomery. I think
So
it's a
why
little
are we
confusing. if-
proposing that they map village area in Montgomery?
Well, I don't-
Yeah, go ahead.
I gave Kirsten a comment just as a curiosity why no village area was mapped in Montgomery Center. Yeah, that doesn't need to be reflected in a thou shalt do anything, but it was a curiosity more than anything else. And Greta's here and maybe could answer that and then we could move on.
Yeah, what do you think, Greta?
They don't have subdivision regulations. They're a 1 acre town.
That's what I was wondering.
Well, see, that
like
helps.
Albert.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's take that out of these. Here, okay. Bakersfield. Everybody good with Bakersfield?
Yes.
Okay, and next is Berkshire. Four, so are there really four? Are there, actually, I'd like to look at this, or is it just broken up by, shoot, stop sharing for a moment.
This is the one that has the two legacy that are sort of peripheral to the central one that's non-legacy, just from memory. Are you going to pull up the map?
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry, I should have done that before we, got started this morning. or
If it
this
helps,
afternoon.
Janet, one of us can do map sharing so you can focus on document sharing, but
Yeah,
your
that'd be
choice.
great. Do you want to do
Okay.
map sharing, Alex?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yep, I
Okay,
have it up.
I
okay.
would do it, but with my computer tied up with the Teams meeting, it's just not as user friendly.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so
Here's Berkshire, and there are sort of three areas, but
three village
because
centers. Yeah, I think we're kind of talking about three areas with, and again, with a river corridor splitting one of them rather than
Okay.
calling it four separate village areas.
Yep,
What do you all think?
yeah, I'm good with that. 3 instead of 4. They're all supposed to have place names, right? So we can we can call them by their name, but anyway.
Oh, wait, track changes got turned off. Sorry. Okay, so and Fairfield,
Sorry, I'll stop
Hey.
sharing so you can display the document again.
Oh, right. Gosh, see, it's so confusing. All right. So, we're good with Berkshire. Now we are at Fairfield. There's a lot of discussion, but it doesn't look like we have recommendations.
Yeah, and I had no issues with Fairfield in my own analysis, so I'm happy to give
Okay.
it the seal of approval and move on.
The area is zoned the area's zoned village is significantly larger than the area proposed for both Village Center and VA. Okay. Fairfax. Proposed village area around the South Village extends a quarter mile around the village center and includes several larger parcels. 2 agricultural parcels are included. These parcels are zoned residential and not in keeping with the mixed-use zoning of the village center and area. Whose comment was that one? For Fairfax?
I don't recall off the top of my head. It wasn't mine.
Yeah, it wasn't, unless, yeah, it wasn't mine either.
Me
So I
neither.
don't remember looking at this. Alex, can we look at it real quick?
We sure can.
So are we talking about, okay, zoning?
So I'll turn on the zoning.
Alex, you might
And
want to turn on the parcels too.
Okay. I'll turn on the zoning. When I click on this zoning. Nope, that gives me the parcel data. Hold on.
If you hit the arrow, it'll go to the parcel data, or it'll go to zoning too. Doesn't matter. So hit the little caret, yeah. Mixed use.
Not sure why it says Richford, but mixed use
Huh.
district.
Interesting.
And if I click over here, which is I think the agricultural field in question, it's a residential zoning district with a 3-acre minimum lot size, maybe, or 1.5. It's hard to tell from this table, but
It's 1.5 for a single family, 3 for 2 family, which is no longer allowed. So it's 1.5 acre zoning,
that's, yeah.
essentially, because you can't require more for duplex anymore.
And Fairfax doesn't, but I don't think that the layer has been updated to show that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So-
regardless, I think the ag fields we're talking about are over here.
Yeah.
And maybe over here, I'm not sure, but and like Greta said, I think a lot of this is driven from the future land use map from the community, not necessarily the zoning. But we look at the zoning, so this was not my comment. I'm not gonna argue this point for whoever made this comment.
I wasn't mine either, so is there, Greta, is there planning here to change the zoning? Well, actually, Sarah's pointing out that the zoning isn't up to date. So what is the zoning there?
I have to
So-
pull up the map. I don't have that immediately available.
Sarah, do you
So-
recall?
I'm not saying that the zoning isn't up to date. I'm saying the way that it's portrayed is not up to date because, and I think the way that you're interpreting it is 3 acres for a duplex, 1.5 for a single unit. Somebody took that and multiplied it. And so there's a differentiation where there's required more acreage for a duplex. And as a matter of fact, I think what you saw bears that out. And just that Fairfax is compliant on that front, so.
And Greta, you don't recall, so I think we just need more information here, don't we? Are there services? Are there sewer or water in that area? Can you
No,
click on
it's
that?
soils.
Soils, it's good soils.
Okay,
Well, we
Yeah,
have
I
some
mean-
issues with the village center in this location, as we discussed previously. So, if we're asking for more information about that, then I guess it makes sense to ask for more information about the village area surrounding that village center. So even though it wasn't any of our comments, I guess maybe it was a decent comment and we ought to just ask for more information.
I agree.
You can bring the document back up, Janet. I stopped sharing the map.
oh, okay, yep.
While you're typing, I'll just say that my dilemma in all of this with Fairfax is that they've done quite a lot to absorb housing growth over the last 20 years, and not a lot of it in their center, but outside of it, and some in the center, of course. So anyway, when I saw this map, my initial thought was, good for them. They are planning for more housing closer to their center, and this seems like an appropriate area to do it, even if a couple of cornfields get sacrificed. But yeah, we got to treat everybody consistently. So just having the more information before we make that call in the end is probably good.
And is this an okay way to word that?
Yes, although I think per Sarah's point last time, it'd be fine if it didn't say revise, if it just said provide more information to justify inclusion of the agricultural parcels in the VA. Because ultimately the RPC is in control here and they can revise whatever the heck they want between the pre-app and the final. They don't need us to tell them what their options are.
Right, but if they revise it to take them out, then we don't need the more information. Right? Except
I
that,
think
I
that's
think
I think that's
actually-
understood.
yeah, so, but I think that because we had questions about the Fairfax Village Center there, that
Sure.
it could be that this doesn't, we need to reference back to that, and that this village area may not be justified if the center is also not justified. So we might need to reference back to right?
Yeah, I think that's a useful
sense.
reference.
So I'll just highlight that to remember to do that. Okay. Fletcher? There's some RTE discussion here. And whose was this?
That was mine.
Okay.
I think it could be or omit.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Well,
Good to
hold
go?
on, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
It seems like that required revision is saying you have to change the mapping. Right? Two different ways of changing the mapping. You revise it to address the RTE site, which I'm not sure what that means, or omit the parcels as noted above.
Maybe this.
Isn't the protocol simply to provide more information?
Yep.
If it's to stay or omit one or the other?
So revise the mapping to omit the RTEA site or to provide more information.
I think what my recommendation was that the final application should address the RTE site. Or perhaps consider them rural instead of village area, but I think that additional information would help address that. Well, I wasn't necessarily saying that the map should be changed, but just more information and please address.
So is
Yeah,
this okay to say it this way? Revise the VA mapping to omit the RTE site or provide more information. Is that enough?
It's enough for me. I like Sarah's wording better, but
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. It's hard to hear everything while you're looking at it and
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to. So if Sarah's wording is better, tell me what it is right now. And I'll type it.
The final application should address this RTE site. And whether the parcels in this corner of the village area should remain or be possibly rural. Again, not the best phrasing, but I think the first part of that sentence, you could take something and
That. Address the RTE site inclusion and whether it should, or address the RTE site and whether it should be included in the village, in the VA.
Yep.
Okay, is that good?
Yep.
Okay.
Onward.
Franklin, looks like it's fine. Georgia. We had some similar questions about Georgia that we had for Fairfax, right? And might need that same oh, it's already there. You got it in there, Kirsten. So so I think we should say above.
Janet, can you scroll so we can see the all of
Whole
the Georgia
thing, yeah.
language?
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks. Kirsten, why don't you go ahead while Janet is cogitating, and then we can go to Greta.
Okay. That's all right with everyone. I was just gonna say, I think that obviously this is gonna depend in part on what happens with the village center mapping, so it's good to have that reference, but I'm noticing that the required revision mentions the wetland, but not the RTE. And I'm wondering if, and this, you know, originated with other board comments. So I included as a requirement that the wetland area be addressed, but it's not specified with respect to RTE. And I think that it should be for consistency and just because I think it should be addressed. But maybe if do others think there would be a reason to omit that portion of the observations?
Sorry,
Kristen, I'm
Kristen,
gonna let
I'm
you call on people if you can.
Sure. Greta, go ahead.
I was just going to note, and maybe this is something that is not relevant, but we've coordinated on a different boundary in response to some comments from the town for the village area, but it was not included in this pre-application. So if there's opportunity to talk about it, I would, but I also understand if you want to sort of draw the line on you're considering what you have in front of you.
Yeah, I think that we have to work with what the submittal is. Like we have to respond to that. But we can make a note that, you know, during our meeting, we learned that there's some other boundary development in progress or something like that.
I'm comfortable with however you want to handle it. I guess I'm making note of it now. I don't,
Okay,
it doesn't
thank
seem
you.
like there's time for me to go into it. So.
Yeah, but Sarah, Janet, Alex, do you want to make reference to the identified RTE species as a component of a required revision? Or do you want to limit it to the wetland? Because I think we should include RTE, as I've said.
which village area has the RTE issue?
So it's the noted parcels.
Is it Georgia Center?
One
Is it-
parcel, 4095 Hybrid Road.
Sorry,
Right,
just
but
I'm
which-
jumping back and forth between the map and the document. Which village area are we talking about? Georgia Center or South Georgia? Whatever we're using for
South Georgia must be Highbridge.
Yeah.
South Georgia. Okay. That's
Yeah.
the one that's got the
Can we look
RTE.
at this? Because I'm confused.
think it-
Why are we suggesting one be planned growth area instead of village area?
Yeah, I can bring it up.
Okay,
This is the South Village Center in Georgia near the interstate with the associated village area in lighter pink.
yep.
And
And
so if I put on
there's-
the RTEs, they're gonna pop up here.
there's a little corner of a buffered citation there on the southeastern corner.
Right here, it looks like.
Yeah, and so on an already developed site, but could have infill.
So yeah, thanks, Kirsten. Now I understand. And to answer your question, yes, I'm fine adding the RTE language to the comment in the same fashion that we did with the other village area we just spoke about. Even though it's a minor overlap, seems like it would be consistent in my mind.
Yeah, and it could be we just need more information. That could be a citation, that could be a citation of some species that, you know, somehow isn't relevant to that corner. Or, you know, I know, for instance, that yeah, you have to, it's very case specific.
Yes,
And
I agree.
so you need to find out what species that is and whether that little corner of the buffer around its siting is really necessary to exclude. But my question, if you can scroll out further, Alex, is there is a statement in the paragraph here that says the southern village area surrounds the center that has been noted as perhaps best meeting the planned growth area. And I'm not sure that, I don't understand where that came from, that comment. Why should that be planned growth area instead
So
of?
I think that was around the discussion about if this is a village center or if this is something different.
Right,
Right,
but it
but-
doesn't make sense regardless because it
Yeah,
cannot be a planned growth area, period.
exactly.
If there's not a village
Exactly.
center there, it can't be a planned growth area.
Exactly. So, so where's the other center? And I just wanted to see relative to the other center where we are here. Okay. And there's
And-
just two. And that's got just planned, or village area around it as well. Okay. Okay, thank
Georgia
you.
South is where we stopped at the dollar store, Dollar General,
Yeah. Yeah,
during the site visit.
right. I think instead of meeting PGA, maybe somebody suggested transition infill, right?
Perhaps. I think we need to leave it to you and Kirsten to clean that up, the
Yeah,
language.
Yeah,
I
so
think,
we could scroll back up quickly to how Village Center was worded for Georgia South, if you want.
no, we can do that offline.
Okay.
I'm gonna, just note that with a highlighted thing that we need to reevaluate that. Okay,
And
Can
you
you
can
share
bring the
again?
document back up now, Janet.
oh, yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting that I'm not sharing.
It's all
Okay.
right. It's the first time today.
Um,
Yeah, I would just note that there's a lot of specificity in these Georgia comments. So as you're reassessing it, just think
Consider
about
abbreviating. Yeah.
perhaps. I mean, it's important to be clear about what the issues are when we have them. But I don't remember this level of detail for any other place we've talked about with actual street addresses and everything else.
Yeah, I think this needs some work. There's a lot of PGA comments that shouldn't be here. Maybe they were supposed to refer to transition infill instead.
Can you put a
Right.
comment in the margin to just remind us both to look at this
Yeah,
in coordination with the Village Center in terms of the final wording?
yep. All right, Grand Isle. Revise the village area mapping to omit or address the wetland areas and in coordination with village center mapping updates as identified above. Elsewhere, okay. And then you also identify a soils issue.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my comments, that the principal Grand Isle village area, not the station, but the principal one, appears to have some poor soils in areas that are mapped for village area.
And I wasn't 100% clear, Alex, if you were thinking that, I actually, no, I take that back. I'm interpreting that that was an advisory recommendation.
Yeah, I think all of my recommendations I couched it as advisory, but I did notice that,
Yeah,
which I'm happy to show on the map if anybody wants to get to the map after looking at the text.
So, I don't understand calling for this being more of a hamlet area unless we said that in the previous comment on Grand Isle Center Station, Grand Isle Station Center, Village Center. Did we make this comment
think-
above?
so for Grand Isle, Fairfax, and Georgia, the way Village Center, my interpretation of the discussion was that there were some unanswered questions and that we were asking for more information. That's how the second draft has been responsive to the board comments, and that you'll see if you've, I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but the copy that's on deck to review Friday, but we could certainly go back to any of that content. And I was hoping that, or thinking that maybe we would do so if we, have enough time today. We could revisit some of those elements, but that's how it's presented for those three municipalities. It's provide more information to support village center mapping for one of the proposed village center areas in each of those communities. I'm just going from memory for those three, and one of those is in Grand Isle.
Yep, that's consistent with the draft as it currently stands, based on
Yeah.
our conversation last time.
Yeah,
So we're calling into question Grand Isle Station's village center designation.
Right.
Okay,
So that
Yeah.
means the village area, I guess, also would be called into question since that depends on the village center to exist.
um,
So we did not make the determination under village center, Janet, that Grand Isle Station should be a hamlet, but we did question whether it
Right.
should be a village center, and if it's not a village center, the
right.
best it can be is a hamlet.
Okay.
Before we move on, it looks like Greta has a hand up, and I do kind of want to show you the soils issue for the principal Grand Isle Center on the map.
Okay.
Could we also look at the wetlands?
Absolutely. The map's going to be up, might as well. So I'll zoom out so you can get your bearings. Here's Grand Isle, the principal village center, the Grand Isle Station Village Center. If I zoom in on the principal village center, there's the village center in darker purple and the village area in pink. And and there's no sewer service area here or water facilities, I believe. So we're talking about on-site sewage disposal soil rankings or ratings, and the good soils are in brown, which, unlike a lot of other areas where there's a lot of brown, there just doesn't seem to be a lot here. Not to say it isn't dispersed and aren't pockets of it. So again, I think it's more of an advisory sort of thing to be thinking about than a conformance issue, but this was one of the few places where I looked at the soil map and thought, oh, it doesn't look like there's much in the way of on-site soils for septic disposal here. Greta, did you want to look at wetlands for this principal village area or the station?
I was wanting to look at wetlands in relation to your comment. In terms of the soils, I would say, yes, we're already taking that under advisement, and still felt that we were able to justify based on the way that we analyze on-site septic soils for village areas. Yes, it's limited here, but we felt like it wasn't enough to say no, understanding that it is a pretty, it's rough data, and you can have septic systems off-site.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points. And there's a big manure storage facility there. So, just in joshing, maybe you could work out something with a farmer next to the school.
Alex, can you leave the soils information up and display the wetlands information?
Sure. Wetlands are in red.
So one thing I would note is there is actually a conserved land parcel that we're planning to take out, and that's the village area parcel that on the southwest.
That
Yes,
has,
That
yeah,
one?
okay, yeah.
That was left in
and
by
is-
mistake.
Remind me, is there a legacy center that includes that wetland area?
Yes.
Okay. So these are relatively small wetlands except for, yeah. So we've got 3 small wetlands right above Hyde Road that are included. They don't appear to be larger than 5 acres.
Oh yeah, I don't think we should be commenting on wetlands of that small scale.
Yeah,
It doesn't preclude having a village area future land use designation in my mind.
right. So
Was the wetland comment about Grand Isle Station or about Grand Isle Center? I don't have it in front of me and I'm not recalling.
center.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't look like
So-
there's
Okay,
much
thank
in the
you.
way of wetlands for Grand Isle Station.
Great.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Your turn, Janet.
Okay, so there are some areas of wetland that could use address, but it sounds like in a revised version that NRPC is already addressing that. However, till we see that, I guess we should just leave this in there.
Is the wetland even an issue in the conserved land parcel?
If it's bigger than 5 acres, is that right? The methodology suggests not including it?
Right, and that was
No.
definitely something that we,
But to be clear, the methodology says that wetlands of 5 acres or more should be mapped as rural conservation,
Rural conservation.
but that village areas get mapped first.
Mhm.
So the way I read the methodology is you can have a wetland of more than 5 acres in a village center, a planned growth area. But you're not supposed to have them, like as rural ag forest. If they're in the rural category, they're supposed to be rural conservation. That's
see.
just my reading of
I
it.
see, yeah. So it's part of the rural methodology alone, not everything. Yeah. So I think maybe we need to take that sentence out then and
I
So what
would.
about the wetland in the southwest corner that's in terms of the application on file, the pre-application, it still is depicted, like. Greta
And it's
has
over
just
5
in-
acres?
But I'll show you.
But,
It-
but I understand what you're saying, Alex, and I agree that, it's not an issue for village areas.
Right, and more to the point, this large wetland area that we're talking about, I think, you
Is
know,
mostly, yeah.
is mostly in the rural area and mapped as
Yeah.
rural conservation, actually. So I think they've done a good job with the with the mapping methodology, even though, as Greta said, it looks like this parcel's gonna come out of village area anyways because it's conserved. So I don't think we need to comment on it. The wetland, that is.
Alex,
give it back.
oh, never mind.
I can put it back, Kirsten, if you want to see something.
That's okay. I was just curious how big of an area that was, where located within the village area, but I know we looked at that question too with respect to Village Center in Fairfax, and we ended up leaving in a pretty big area. So like, I'm okay with omitting the, you know, the reference to wetland for this village area.
Okay.
Based on, you know, in part what Greta has just indicated, but also like the smaller ones are small and dispersed.
I think my only comment was that they should be addressed as part of the final application.
Mm-hmm.
So, the soil suitability is an advisory recommendation or a required one, a required revision, Alex, in your mind?
Advisory in my mind.
Okay,
Frankly, I'm kind of satisfied with what Greta just told us. So maybe it doesn't have to be a recommendation at all, but
well,
maybe-
it'd be nice to, yeah, include that. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
So, are we good with Grand Isle? Revise the mapping to address village center mapping comments as identified elsewhere.
it's good to me.
And address soil suitability as noted above as advisory.
I'm comfortable with that. I would appreciate trying to help ensure that Sarah's okay with that language, like with respect to the wetland detail, like
For
which has
Highgate,
basically been yeah,
No, for Grand Isle.
for Grand Isle.
right, so the soil suitability thing was not mine, and with the wetlands, it was just meant to be a comment about addressing, and so I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Okay, well, the wording here does not encompass that wetland areas would need to be addressed. But
That's
so you're
fine.
okay with, okay,
Yeah.
It was, so that
Thank you.
southern, I was going back through my notes, and that southern parcel, I think, is coming out anyway. That had adjacency to that larger wetland and a swath of it,
Yeah.
and then a wetland on it, and just some questions about whether that was contiguously like more than that 3-acre size, but if it's coming out, then I don't see that there's any need to
Okay,
address
just wanted to
that.
double check. Thank
Yep.
you.
Highgate,
Maybe after everyone reads it, Alex can show the map. And we can look at the areas that are in question.
Part of these are my comments, but the soil suitability is not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
mine.
that's my
I'll
yeah.
Okay.
I'll take ownership of that. So I'm reading too, and then let me know when folks want to go to the map.
I'm ready when you all are to go to the map. Anybody still reading?
So Sarah, do you want to direct me to the areas that you were commenting on, since those comments were yours, I think, about the agricultural parcels?
So, and I don't know if you can zoom in, but it's St. Armand Road. So up and to the left, the sort of northwestern corner.
Yep.
Across the rail trail. So you can see goes across.
This big ag parcel right here, for example, and piece of one here.
Yeah, you want to click on one just to make sure it came up. Yep, the SAR LLC. Yep. Yep.
And the idea being that that these are not suitable for development.
Well, it's that they're ag and they're on the periphery, and you're on the other side of the rail trail, which could be a sort of harder edge to the village area. And these are partial parcels too. So I think this falls into the category of it would be great to get some additional information, but particularly when you're doing partial parcels and they appear to be in working ag right now, I want to hear more.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to look at the zoning, and I guess I should be looking at the future land use mapping that the town has done, for whether they're ready to see something else happen in those portions of those agricultural fields. To my mind, the rail trail actually provides a nice connection potentially for
Right.
development in these areas into the village center in a way that you wouldn't normally get without thousands of feet of sidewalk, which small communities are going to have a hard time building. But like that this ag parcel right here, Sarah, for example, sorry, it's hard with this description on it, but it fronts the rail trail. I can imagine a whole neighborhood here that has access to the rail trail and immediate, safe pedestrian bike access right into the village center. I could see that being a good place for growth.
And do we have infrastructure for water, sewer?
So that was my comment about soil suitability, and I don't think so. So there's no sewer service area mapping here. And Greta can correct me if I'm wrong about water infrastructure. I'll try to turn that on. It looks limited, but I'm not sure. It's hard with that data set to know what it means. So I went to on-site sewage, and it looks like it's definitely, there are reasonable soils for that parcel that we were just discussing. But this whole eastern side of the village area appears to have nothing, very poor soils. So I'm not sure that actually
Western side.
Sorry, thank you. Western side.
Okay.
I'm not sure that this western side belongs in the village area, given the lack of soils.
It might have access if you look at that large parcel there, on the, the west side of the road above the rail trail. There's a lot there. Yeah, if that were to be the parcel that was to see development, it has suitable soils at the western edge there that could be used for development to the east of it.
Possibly. It's just that they're completely out of the village area, but you're right. It's in one ownership. It's one large parcel.
I think the red is flood hazard area, but I agree with you, Janet. That's a good observation.
I think the red is wetlands.
Greta, do you have something to add here?
Well, I think a few things went into this designation as village area. One, it is their town center district, and it was following along with their local planning and zoning for the town center. Two, yeah, the soils in that parcel did factor in, it's sparse in that area, but we felt like it was enough to justify as potentially, that, opportunities potentially for finding service. And then also they're in the process of constructing a community wastewater system. They're in final design and have construction funding.
Oh, well, is there some anticipated service area for that would include these areas? Because if that's the case, then I don't want to stop, I don't want to say anything negative about it.
The line will go up to St. Armand Road. Right now, it's ending at the rail trail, but there would be the opportunity for new development to, extend and connect on
Gotcha.
St. Armand.
Yeah, well, then I would retract any concerns about
but
soil
Do
suitability.
we have that information with the application, Greta? Or is it supplemental
I didn't put that with
information?
the application because really like for village area, we were just, basing our analysis primarily on the soils. Like we felt it met it based
Okay.
on the soils, although we also know about the wastewater.
Okay. All right, well,
So I think where I want to go with this is tell us more. Because again, where I was coming from was with the partial inclusion of these larger lots. I think that might be just a please, and they could talk about some of the community septic that's going on, some of the larger plans for the village.
I see Kirsten nodding her head. I'm nodding my
think-
head too. More
Sure.
information would be nice. And even though I support, development of portions of an ag field, especially this close and with proximity to the rail trail, it would be nice to know why the parcels were split where they were. The one on the west side of St. Arban Road in particular is kind of an odd shape to it. I'm not sure why it was carved quite the way it was. So a little more information would be helpful. And that information about the future public wastewater treatment system that's big.
I'm guessing it was based on proximity to St. Armand Road, but that's just my hypothesis. So do you want to go back to the text? Are we ready?
sure. So it sounds like people are satisfied about soils, so we don't need this. Am I interpreting the discussion correctly?
I think so, yeah. That was mostly my
Okay.
issue, so I will relent.
Okay. And revise mapping or include more information to justify inclusion of agricultural parcels as noted above. Is that good enough? Or
Sure.
I'm fine with it as written,
okay.
but I want to
Same.
hear from, make sure others are.
Yep.
Same.
St. Albans Town. The VA rings the existing legacy village at the bay.
So the recommendation seems to say it's sort of duplicative, and I think this might want to be one where omit or provide additional information.
Yeah, the draft advisory recommendation isn't very well worded. Again, this is a first draft. Thanks for helping to
Say that
Approve
again,
it?
Sarah. Sorry.
I was just saying the advisory recommendation is a little bit duplicative, and I think it might be omit the 4 parcels or provide additional information to justify or something like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, got it, got
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Or, good?
And everyone's okay with that as an advisory recommendation and not a requirement?
I think that's the way we're going with all these, so.
Actually, no,
Well,
some of them
It's
No,
not
some
what
of
we
them are
just did with
required.
Highgate, no.
Yeah,
So should this one be advisory or required to be consistent?
Oh, I thought
think it-
Highgate was advisory.
It was not, so if you want it to be, we should revisit it.
I'm for advisory.
you're for advisory for all of these, Sarah?
So are you also thinking that for the Grand Isle and the Georgia, because those were required? And
All right. I
And
changed-
Fairfax.
Yeah, if we're doing required for all of them, this should be required.
okay,
I think for the ones that are based in part on Village Center, for which there's required, supplemental information that may impact this, I think it has to be required.
Sounds like we're on the same page. We're just feeling very stringent with village areas today for some reason.
so so here we are, Sheldon, same thing? Required?
I don't know that we've gotten there yet, Janet.
Oh,
And no, we haven't.
sorry.
Let's talk about Sheldon first before we
Yeah.
decide whether it's required or advisory.
So I think Sheldon has a village center for which there were some questions. And I think it's one of the 2 municipalities for which Sarah and I connected. And Janet, right before the meeting, I sent you an email with some text and a map excerpt.
Oh,
And
yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at that.
maybe we
okay.
could look at that together because I think it will help inform this discussion.
Okay.
Because Village Center Sheldon was something that Sarah and I looked at after the Monday meeting and wanted to return and share content. So do you want to scroll down? Sorry, this is kind of coming up in email, but so this is the northern part of the Sheldon Village Center. And I don't know if you want to scroll down or if you're able to open up the whole thing, it might help illustrate a little bit better. Well, now that
Am I not-
actually, yeah, go ahead.
You're not seeing it? Oh,
Yeah, no,
Right
I
now
can
hold
we're
on.
see it.
seeing your,
I can see it.
okay, hold on.
But-
There. Now, are you seeing
Yep,
my
yeah, that's
scrolling?
better. That's cleaner.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what
so
I
do you want to
was,
scroll
that's what
up
I
to the
thought I
map?
was showing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
you are. So
okay.
Sarah, do you want to help explain this?
So we discussed the village center, and I think the comments under village center were best under village area. And you can see where that yellow highlighting ends, that village center comes up onto that parcel which has the squiggly yellow. It also includes a portion of that village area up to the north. So that village center includes that mostly pink area that includes almost the first letter of S for Sheldon. And so I was just stating that I think that whole area should be perhaps village area as opposed to village center, because that parcel served as like a backward C shape.
What is village
And-
area versus village center?
Yeah, rather than having a parcel be in like 3 different future land use areas.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you mean
Agreed.
that parcel
This-
only? Okay,
Well, that village
Um,
area or village center comes up onto that next parcel too. If you zoom in, but I think it just
Yeah.
needs to be cleaned up.
So in the area where the village center meets the village area, there's a small sliver of the parcel that's currently mapped village center.
right. And to me, that looks like somebody's right of way to get back to their property. Right? It's a
No, I think it's actually
panhandle.
part of the
Is that what you're
parcel.
talking about? Are you talking about where the cursor is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think what Sarah is indicating is that area right there should be part of the village area
Yeah,
for consistency of, mapping unit with parcel ownership.
yeah. I
you know,
mean,
to have-
to me, this seems pretty trivial for us to be spending too much time talking about, I have to say.
Also
Um,
agreed.
Yeah,
Let's just note it and move on. It's a mapping glitch.
yeah. So is it okay to stop sharing?
Well, what I'd like you to do if we're agreeable is to look at the revised text that
Or the area?
Sarah and I came up with in follow-up to the Monday meeting. Yeah, we can look at it for village area, but it's also it has a nexus to the village center wording that was just on the screen above. So this is what, is said for village area.
Yeah, and I'm just
Sheldon.
saying, I think it's too trivial to bother with. It's just somebody's right away. I don't care which one it's in. I think that's up to the municipality and the RPC.
it's all part of one parcel. That was just
Right,
it's not have a
but
parcel be 3 different
but it's-
things.
it's just it's just a right of way portion of a parcel.
It's too
And-
late, Janet. We've already talked about it. We've shown
Okay.
mapping and we now have language to address it. So
Okay,
we should
so
just,
I
we should just
will-
put it in there.
I will take this language and I will copy, okay, and come back to the document. And are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, and so is that intended to replace everything here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this. See what happens.
The formatting
have-
might be a little wonky coming out of an email, but
Watch
Um,
out.
Be all right.
Document could explode at any moment.
hey, look at that.
It worked.
Wait a minute. Oh,
It's
yeah,
just advisory.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Let's move on.
okay. Just to be consistent. South Hero.
There's a wetland
Okay,
issue, huh?
so back to wetlands issues, and are we in the same place we were with Grand Isle, that these maybe shouldn't be, we shouldn't be requiring this revision? I think if we go back up at look at Grand Isle, we took out the wetland references because we decided that they were properly mapped.
Yeah, I think it's very much the same thing here. I can show you the map, but there's just one parcel that appears to be in the village area that's compromised.
Let's see.
Right, and my comment was just that the wetlands noted to the rear of the parcel. And so there's development potential along the road frontage. It's just the larger rear portion of the parcel. If you go to the south, wait.
I see what you mean, Sarah. It's this red wetland area that encumbers, a good half of this parcel in the village area.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Interestingly, it looks like that portion of that site is wooded.
The wetland portion,
Yeah, if you turn off the wetlands, look.
right? Yeah, because the front portion is probably an ag use, or partially anyways, and there's wooded wetlands behind. Yeah, I don't think that we need to worry about this from a required revision standpoint. It's just something that perhaps should be noted, but it's compliant with the mapping protocol to have it in the village per our prior conversation. So I'll stop sharing. And Jen, if you want to put the text back up, I think this one had a required revision that I'm proposing not be a required revision.
Okay. It's a long paragraph. I think I'm gonna turn it into 2. And so are there any other comments on what's proposed here?
Well, it's the sentence that in the second paragraph that says the VA appears to have a significant wetland complex that may render it unable to include significant infill. And perhaps this portion of the parcel should be removed.
Yeah.
Maybe we revise that, or maybe we just say could be removed. I don't know. It doesn't.
Yeah, what I did up here is I said it has a wetland that appears to be a significant portion of the site, perhaps rendering it not suitable for development. We can say that, and we can
Right.
say may render it unsuitable or unable to. Yeah, so just take it out and then not have a revision.
Well, it's easy for me to say this wasn't my comment, but so Sarah, this was yours, right? Are you okay with us
Yeah,
making this
Yeah.
change? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good to identify where there are larger, more significant wetland areas. I think it also helps kind of manage expectations a little bit, that,
Yeah,
that it's been noted
Okay.
and
yeah,
that it will be a development, challenge.
yeah. Oops.
How do we get to
Um,
Bakersfield? Weren't we going alphabetically?
Oh,
Oh, good.
that's
good
interesting,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if we already did Bakersfield.
is Bakersfield the first tier 1A or tier 1B?
We already did Bakersfield.
Okay, is it, yeah, maybe it's,
1B.
So
yeah, it's a
Did
tier
some-
1B comment. Let me just see if it's in the tier 1B section.
I don't know how that happened.
Oh, it's easy to do.
It looks like it's just a repeat of what we said earlier in the village area section. So I think it's just
Okay.
it's just a
Well, it
repeat.
says tier 1B.
Right, but it says that at, in the first entry in the village area as well. And the last sentence is the VA extends typical.
Okay.
Wow, actually
Okay.
that sentence is a
Can
little
you
weird.
stick
Okay.
it, can you stick it in the tier 1B within like, say, advisory recommendations just for now? So we keep the content and we can look at it when
Yeah.
we get to tier 1B?
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we'll end up deleting this whole thing, but I don't want to lose it.
Yeah. Oh, why is there a dot there?
Yeah, actually this is, yeah, that was just like a remnant. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
well.
just like a
Oh,
remnant
it's putting-
part of the
yeah.
description of the Bakersfield village area.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't need to be here?
Can we compare it to what we wrote above? Is it duplicative?
Yeah.
Did like,
Well, I'm not sure it is. Scroll up, Janet,
Yeah,
to the first
Okay.
village area entry, which is Bakersfield.
Just a second.
I feel like
Well, I feel like
Those-
it doesn't need to be here, whatever the case.
no,
So,
I agree now that I've looked at it more
so I want to
closely.
take it out.
Yep.
I just did it several times because it was weird. Oop. Okay. All right. So
There you go.
yeah, it's exactly the same.
No, it's
No,
not
actually,
quite, no.
It's a
No.
little
Can
bit
you-
different.
Can you put it back into that
Yeah.
that couple sentences and then we'll look at it? I was omitting the content that had been suggested, that references for village center, village area, or PGA, that it was proposed for tier 1B. Omits the river corridor. The area includes historic structures that are primarily
So it
residential and
includes
may
this
present.
sentence. This
Yeah.
is information that isn't in that
Yep.
sentence.
I agree. I would include that last sentence, but I would omit the rest. Thank you. Is everyone okay with that?
Since we're there, Janet, before you go away, the sentence before it says the VA extends typical approximately. That doesn't make sense. Perfect, thanks.
That's to my engineering brain. So,
Okay. Um,
We're done with village areas. Hooray.
yes.
Transition or infill. Can't be too many of those.
Wait a minute.
Greta's
This
got her hand up.
information shouldn't be here. It should be at the top. This is part of the shell that got moved. So this should be up here if it isn't.
Greta has her hand up.
Greta,
Thanks. Yeah, I'm actually just saying that I have to sign off now. And so I wanted to make sure that the latest, like the draft that we can then review, will there be an updated draft that I can review that's not posted on the website ahead of Friday or no? Just the draft that's on the website that was placed there today.
that's available. I mean, I guess we could share this once we're done today with you.
That'd be great if that's possible.
Yeah, we can email it to you.
Appreciate it.
Is that,
Thanks.
yeah, okay.
That's fine
Thanks.
with me. It includes, yeah.
Thank you,
Anyway,
Greta.
I
Your,
think-
your input has been really, really helpful, and I appreciate you spending all this time with us during our machinations. So thank you.
For sure,
Well, yeah.
yeah. Today, I feel like it was difficult to provide as much helpful information because there's so much detail to what you're reviewing. But yeah, I look forward to reviewing your comments more. And
Well,
Okay,
and
thanks, Greta.
please, yeah, the other thing, Greta, I'll mention is, as you've experienced, some of the language is subject to a little bit further refinement. And so whatever content we provide after the meeting may still be subject to further change, right? Based on today's discussion.
yeah,
As we
I mean,
head
maybe
into
it's not
Friday.
even
So,
helpful for you to send me that draft and I'll just focus on what's already on the website, which is also subject to change, right?
No, that's not
Yeah.
gonna be changed. That's a PDF.
What's on the website is not going to be changed.
No, not before Friday.
Okay, right, but it could be on Friday. Okay, got it.
Well, this will be changed. This will be further changed. That will live in perpetuity as it was posted.
Okay.
But-
No worries to send me that. No worries on sending me the interim draft.
Okay.
okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take
Greta.
care. Yep. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, so this paragraph here is part of the preamble for the planned growth area section.
Yes.
And I just found it at the end of the village area section. So I think it needs to go right here. So that's just
Yeah.
it just got misplaced and now it's in the right place, I think. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so back to transition and infill. Transition infill. Our
Does it have the right,
proposed.
does it have the right preamble, Janet, before we go any further?
I think so.
Okay.
The intent is to transform into, yep. This area could also include, okay, yeah. Transition infill areas are proposed in 2 areas of St. Albans town and in 2 areas in Swanton. The plan indicates that the intent is to transform these areas into higher density. The board asks that identify specific strategies that are proposed for these areas, clarify the status of water, wastewater infrastructure, and update mapping to omit areas proposed in Swanton, which consist of lands developed with Interstate Highway 89.
I can give a little
Maybe this is
background.
supposed to say within.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, so items 1 and 2 here, they're not numbered that way, but those first 2 bullets are consistent with Rutland. And I interpreted that the information that had been provided for Rutland was sort of similar to what Northwest had done. So I was trying to be, consistent.
Yep.
But maybe others think this is unnecessary. And then I was just noticing that, yeah, for this mapping unit, some of it encompassed the interstate itself.
Can we see that, Alex?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's the orange that we're talking about. Oh,
correct?
yeah,
And there's the interstate entrance exit and the transition area just goes right through it here.
yeah, probably that should be excluded.
What else would you make it though?
The
Just
same as
rural general,
rural.
the yellow.
Or what's the bluish?
Yeah, that's rural,
Rural
ag forest.
conservation.
Oh, yeah,
No,
I'd make it
Oh,
the
yeah.
yellow.
Well,
So I think we've had comments, at least in CCRPCs, that it should be adjacent to like whatever it's next to in cases like this.
Well,
Yeah.
that's in cases of regular roads, but there are protections for the interstate interchange areas so that they don't get developed with strip type stuff. But I guess it doesn't really matter here because this is all state and it's state owned and nobody's going to be able to develop it, right?
It's federally owned. Isn't the interstate federally owned? Federally owned land?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know either. I don't think so, but
I
it
think
doesn't
it's-
matter in this case.
Yeah, I think it's state, but
So
not
Sarah,
owned by the feds.
is the mapping methodology say for roads and highways to map it the same as the adjacent land? Is that, so is
That's
this,
what
have they
we're,
done it?
that's what we're telling the others
Yeah.
about their road right of ways. So maybe this is no different. Maybe it's fine the
Okay.
way it is.
I mean,
I think it's no different. I think it should just stay the way it is because
Stay
it
like
is
that?
meant to be on both sides of 89. So why include a different color in the middle
In
of those two
between.
transition areas?
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
And
Yeah,
you
I
guys
think I
are
agree.
right.
That's
I'm
fine. It-
remembering with the Cirque Highway, it was state owned but bought with federal funds, so it had like the extra layer of like thou shalt not do anything.
Yep.
I think that's the interstate.
So I think we can remove that point. I think that in
Go back
Rutland,
to the text.
yeah, sorry, I'll stop sharing. You can start again, Janet. I think that in Rutland, Janet, it was you that pointed out for certain areas in Rutland, that having some specific strategies would be important because of the nature of those areas, being very strip development like currently. This seems a little different to me because these are, if I remember right, these are not fully developed areas that are shown in the transition zone. So they have a little bit of that, but maybe not as severe as Rutland. So I
But
don't know
they
that we
could
need
still, they could
specific
still end up
strategies.
looking strip-like
They
because
could.
they're undeveloped. So, I mean, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So let's give the same feedback.
Okay.
All right, resource-based rec.
Seems straightforward.
Didn't we say up top under general comments something about this though? Like they needed to make them more visible or swap them out or
No, that was for the lakeshore, the mapping, the rural conservation lakeshore mapping. It's hard
Okay.
to see sometimes, and it's Greta explained that they were using the FEMA flood hazard layer to identify that, and it's just not great data. So it didn't
Okay,
really
good
have
enough.
much to do with resource-based mapping. Though there might have been one area that I said if they changed it to rural conservation, it would make the shoreline mapping issue go away. So,
I remember that. That's fine.
so-
We can move on.
okay. Enterprise.
So this is my note that I wanted to discuss. That areas in St. Albans City and Town and Swanton, the enterprise areas are partially located next to PGA, which The statute says that it's to be locations of high economic activity and employment that are not adjacent to planned growth areas. And do we want to look at those on a map? So enterprise where next to PGA in St. Albans and Swanton. I don't know what they might,
Yeah, I think there's I would like to exert some level of policy differential
Yeah,
here
me
because and here, let me show it on the map because I think
yeah,
you'll see
thank you.
that that statement in statute makes no sense. So
Yeah.
here's Swanton, and here's their planned growth area around their village center. And I'll just zoom in on the south portion of it. There is no way that this gravel quarrying operation deserves to be a part of the planned growth area in my mind. It's a very different land use. It is an enterprise land use. It'd be different if it were, an industrial site that had a little more articulation and incorporation with the areas around
Yeah,
it, but
well,
this area
all
seems
I'm-
separate.
All I'm pointing out is that the statutory definition says that are
Right.
not adjacent to plant growth areas, and this one
Right.
is
Right.
partially.
Understood, but I think it's an ill-advised wording of statute because what that means is that the area to the north of it would not be eligible to be planned growth area because this isn't going to be anything but what it is.
So can I read what's in statute? Because there's more to it. And so if you just took that first sentence and stopped, but I think you need to go on. And it says, for enterprise areas, these include industrial parks, areas of natural resource extraction, or other commercial uses that involve larger areas. Enterprise areas typically have ready access to water supplies, sewage disposal, electricity, and freight and transportation networks. So I think that just described this area very well. I think what the first part of that 4348A12F enterprise says under that first sentence, which is these areas include locations of high economic activity and employment area that are not adjacent to planned growth areas. I think you need to read the rest of that paragraph because the rest of that paragraph, when you read that all together, I think describes this area as an enterprise area.
Yeah, and I think what the first sentence is saying is these areas don't have to be in the midst of everything. They can be out in the rural boonies. That's what it's saying. Maybe those two sentences would be better if they were flipped in the statute, because I think all that first paragraph or first sentence is trying to tell us is they don't have to be right next to everything. They can be out in the boonies.
I think it also provides that it could be part of the PGA, like we discussed earlier. But I think when you read it in context, this area does meet that sort of enterprise area.
I agree, Sarah. And although I think the statute is inartfully worded and just potentially, just inartfully worded, I think I could make, if I really wanted to, I think I could make the case that legally we're within the bounds because the first sentence is not saying that these areas only include locations not adjacent to planned growth areas. It's merely saying these areas include locations not adjacent to planned growth areas. So those are the rural boony ones that Janet mentioned. And then you're right, Sarah, the rest of the sentences are telling you, okay, anything that's adjacent, that meets these criteria could also be included.
Yeah. And, I will say, okay, maybe there was some discussion among the legislators about environmental justice and not wanting these areas to be next to where people are going to be, where the population is, because they could have, they could result in burdens on those peoples. But that's kind of a stretch from what's written there. So.
Okay, so I'm hearing that the three of you interpret that it's okay that in some cases we can have enterprise next to planned growth area based on the statute as written. So do we want to view the St. Albans Town or St. Albans City, or is that unnecessary based on this
No.
discussion?
I don't think so. I
It's
think
kind of the
that
same
it's-
thing. It's enterprise in and amongst plant growth. I mean, the northern enterprise is almost surrounded by it.
Yeah, the only thing that gives me pause, so I'm happy with where we landed on that. But the only thing that gives me pause is that, an enterprise area is not eligible for a tier 1A or 1B designation. A planned growth area is. So if there is an enterprise area that is fully engulfed by a planned growth area, should it have the benefit of that exemption, that tier 1A, 1B, I guess tier 1A is really the part that matters, possibility. And if we map it enterprise, it won't. But you know what? I say that, sorry, I'm thinking while I'm talking, this is up to the municipality and the
Exactly.
RPC.
We're
And
not
so
doing the mapping.
if they don't want to have that enterprise area enjoy that potential exemption, that's really their call.
Yep. I agree. So I eliminated the,
That item.
yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
you can share your document again, Janet. I'm done
I'm
with the map.
sorry. Gosh. I thought I was showing you. I eliminated that part of the conclusion there. Good to go to Hamlet's?
Yes.
I love Hamlets.
Wherefore art thou?
Hamlets are
Yes.
identified in the region. These include
Yeah,
Franklin, Richford, Highgate, Sheldon, Alburgh, Georgia, and Enosburg.
and I just want you to know, I didn't find that there was like a list of hamlets included with the submittal. I could have missed it, but I don't think there is. And also, it was a little bit of like, where's Waldo, looking for those little gray circle dots.
It
But
it would
I
be,
think I
it
found them
should
all, but
be in the shoot, wrong. It should be in the checklist. I
Well,
think.
so Janet's trying to find it, and I'll just say, Kirsten, I'm with you. I was the same way with the Rutland plan. I wanted to see where the hamlets were, and it was a Where's Waldo adventure on the map. It was very hard to
Yeah, so
locate them.
that list that you're looking at that says they include, that's me finding them.
Yeah,
Now, maybe they're
and I think I did that
helpfully
in Rutland
listed on the
too.
checklist and I just missed it.
No,
So
I think I did that in Rutland too. And while I was doing the Rutland, I asked for some changes to the checklist. And I can't remember if that was one that got transmitted. So let me just look at their checklist.
So I think that's something we perhaps want to include on the checklist because I'm taking a look at CCRPCs and we don't require them to list.
Hamlets?
And hamlets are not listed. So
Yeah. I'm just
Oh.
mentioning it because that list that you see in our draft reply is me finding
we
them,
get
and I
that.
can't guarantee 100% accuracy.
Right.
It's just, the
Right.
ones I found, and I looked carefully, but
Okay, Hamlets.
Well, and so
Yeah, so I think it's not on the NRPC either, and I think that's something that we can ask to be summarized on the checklist for us.
like which towns have them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good. But
Okay.
remember, as much as we love them, the designation is
meaningless.
okay, I wasn't going to use that word, but you got there before I did. So yeah, I don't think we need to stress about whether Kirsten found all of them or not.
Right.
So
right, but it
Onward.
is nice to have a list.
Well, I mean, because we have to review them, Alex. So if we don't know that we found them all,
Right. Although they are
So-
just a point in space, right? They're not actually a defined polygon
You
of
can, there
FLU
is,
mapping.
there is the option of defining them as a small polygon too in statute, I do believe, and in the methodology. So, in any case, let's move
Onward.
on.
Rural.
Rural general, rural ag and forestry, rural conservation. Okay, we are not going with this anymore. Is this correct? The first sentence here.
Well, that is correct. Planned growth areas and village areas require bylaws and must be in infill areas.
So actually, Kirsten and I went over this we spent a long time going over this, and it's not clear from the bylaws. I mean, from the statute that you have to have bylaws. You can include areas of infill with or without bylaws from the way that it's written in statute. It's written in statute 3 different ways in 3 different places. The Tier 1B statute, the village area statute, and the planned growth area statute. It's written differently in each. And Kirsten and I went through this. I think we spent an hour trying to interpret it and trying to
And
come
we don't-
to agreement about what this was saying and whether the municipal resolutions in the Tier 1B memo, how they were interpreting it and whether it was coincident
Meets
with
the
how we were
requirements.
interpreting it.
Yeah, I see what you
And-
mean now. I'm looking at the statute and I didn't realize that the planned growth area wording is different from the village area wording. I thought they were the
And it's different from the tier 1B wording.
And it's different from the Tier 1B wording.
Like it's,
So, my
And Janet-
interpretation in the end is different than Kirsten's, I think.
so I'm okay with, I think, omitting this here. But maybe before that occurs, we can also take a look at the paragraph that I added at the end in connection with tier 1B. Janet, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
No, I didn't get that far.
Okay, well. Yeah, so you're looking at it.
Yeah. You can see it, right?
Yep. So what this is saying is that within the proposed tier 1B areas, there are some minor areas that were identified in the noted municipalities that have some areas of river corridor and map flood hazard areas that are not legacy. And so what I'm suggesting need occur is that they can either establish that those areas qualify for infill development as defined in the rule, or if they're not qualified as infill, that the municipality has adopted flood hazard and river corridor bylaws consistent with the statute, or alternatively, they can remove them from the proposed tier 1B area. Because I do think that the tier 1B language about this, my interpretation is it supports how I've written this, how I've drafted it. But I appreciate this is, I think Janet and I would agree, we wish it was a little more straightforward in the statute. Like, right?
Yeah.
So,
And,
but we
and
can take each of these separately, right? We're smart enough to do that. So if we're just talking about tier 1B, not village area FLU, not planned growth area FLU, but tier 1B, what does the statute say for tier 1B.
It says, I'm telling you that it says something, but Kirsten interprets it one way and I interpret it the other. And
Okay, well, there's more brains here, so let's just look
yeah,
at what it
so-
says.
I just feel like we're going to be here for an hour discussing this, and I wonder if what we should do is each of us read all three of those passages, look at the submissions, the tier 1B submissions and the municipal resolutions, and tell us what you think on Friday.
Yeah.
That's what I think we should do, because we could be here all night based on Kirsten and I talking probably more than an hour and not coming to an agreement about what statute is saying. But it is 6033 C4 is the paragraph. And maybe I'll just read them aloud for the record here. The area excludes, and this is for tier 1B, the area excludes identified flood hazard and fluvial erosion areas, except those areas containing pre-existing development in areas suitable for infill development, as defined in section 29-201 of the Vermont Flood Hazard Area and River Corridor Rule, unless the municipality has adopted flood hazard and river corridor bylaws applicable to the entire municipality that are consistent with the standards established pursuant to subsection 755B of this title, flood hazard, and subsection 1428B of this title, river corridor.
So can we ask the two interpretations that we have? And it's very interesting because that section is a truncated version of that is in the PGA.
Yep.
This is more explicit in tier 1B.
Well, my interpretation of this paragraph is that the area excludes flood hazard and fluvial erosion, which is river corridor areas, unless they are areas of infill.
What's
So that,
Kirsten's?
and well, wait, so there's another unless. So unless, so that exclusion doesn't need to be made if the municipality has adopted flood hazard and river corridor bylaws that meet the standard, okay? However, if you don't have flood hazard and river corridor bylaws, this is saying you can include areas of infill. That's my interpretation, but
Janet, what page of the blue
Kirsten's
book
is
are you
saying,
on?
I'm on page 261 in the blue book.
Okay, and I would like an
It's-
opportunity to explain my interpretation, if
Yeah.
I may. Okay, so I think that it's very important to look closely at where the commas are placed. And I will
Comma.
try to read it in a more summary overall way. It's saying the area excludes flood hazard and fluvial erosion areas, except infill unless the municipality has bylaws, meaning if you have bylaws, then you don't have to exclude the infill areas. You don't have to accept them. There's no comma after the word river corridor rule unless the municipality has adopted. So that
But you
qualification
put
pertains
accept
to
in the
the,
wrong place. The area
that
excludes,
qualification pertains to the exception.
so if you
so-
look at the sentence, the area excludes flood hazard and river corridor except those areas. You put the except in a different place.
Right, so the area excludes flood hazard and fluvial erosion areas, except the areas that qualify as infill, unless the municipality has adopted flood hazard and river corridor
Right.
bylaws, then you can include the infill areas. You don't have to accept them. You don't have to omit them. You can include infill areas if you have adopted flood hazard and river corridor bylaws that meet the standard. Then those don't have to be accepted. They can be included in the area.
I get it. I see where you two are disagreeing about how to interpret the sentence. And how dare they write such a run-on sentence?
I
And-
agree with
and-
Janet that it'll be helpful to have everyone maybe review it and then hopefully.
Right, so, but that, you also have to review the other two paragraphs under planned growth areas and village areas, and take them as a whole to try to understand what the legislative intent was here.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly a difference in the planned growth area where it says that it excludes those flood hazard areas except areas containing pre-existing development suitable for infill. There's no requirement in the planned growth
Right.
area for regs, for bylaws.
Right,
And then in village
then-
areas, there is. So, yeah, it's confusing.
So the paragraph that Janet is sharing on the screen that starts with FLU mapping includes blah, blah, blah. That's my interpretation of the 1B paragraph that Janet and I were just discussing. And it's saying you've got some non-legacy flood hazard area, river corridor areas that are included. The choices are demonstrate that they qualify for infill in accordance with the rule. If they're not qualified for infill, that you've got regs, or omit them. And actually, the way this is worded may be imperfect too. Like this was, this is just something I wanted to go over because it's a.
so I
I-
think
I
what I'm
think
gonna
we'd be-
say is ask Sarah and Alex to go over the statutory paragraphs that we just referenced and consider that. And then we can discuss this on Friday.
Yeah, and I actually, now that I'm looking at it again, I actually think this draft as drafted is not quite right either for 1B.
So just a point of concern, the deadline's Friday, and I'd rather not punt
Okay,
these types of decisions to Friday. I think just my off the cuff interpretation after going through this and looking at, you come down to legislative intent, but it really appears that what was in the PGA is truncated. And just that logical sequential, if we're saying that the PGA area qualifies for either tier 1A or tier 1B, it would seem to mean that the same lens, you shouldn't let something become PGA without it then being something that's eligible for tier 1B. And so if you take a look at the language that's in the PGA under
Right.
4348A 12, what is that, C?
B4.
On page 609, where it omits the rest of it, and it says, except those areas contain pre-existing development in areas suitable for infill development, is, I would then tend to agree with Janet's interpretation of its infill areas as well as if they have regs. It's inclusive of both of those areas can be in a tier 1B area.
So just so I'm clear, your interpretation would be, at least insofar as the PGA, that both undeveloped flood hazard and fluvial erosion areas and infill areas can be in a 1B as long as they have regs?
Yeah,
Yep.
and if
So
they don't
And
have
I believe
regs,
that's
they
actually
can,
what this draft would reflect. Well, actually, let me back.
And that's
So-
what I think we need time to deal with before Friday.
So what I have a suggestion. When statute is in question a little bit, interpretation wise, and there isn't time to figure it out with our legal team, which is the correct way, I think, to figure out a legal question. The easiest answer, especially in the tier 1B section that Janet had up, is to simply refer back to the statute and say, provide more information as to how these areas comply with this provision of statute, period. And leave it to the RPC to provide their justification or rationale on that front. This is just a pre-application. We don't have to pin ourselves down and give them all of the options we think that they have to figure this out. We can just refer them to the statute and say, provide a justification for these areas based on this section of statute.
I think the other
I'm
thing
fine
that's
with that.
influencing me is the whole, as we're going through the future land use areas and these legacy areas. If you have a legacy area that's inclusive of flood hazard, it has a right to continue over into that area. So I think that when you take a look at the larger context of if these are legacy pre-existing areas, that they have a right to that, and therefore, if we're taking a look at those legacy areas, is also having a right to the tier 1B. And I would echo what Alex said too, in terms of
how to deal
when
with
there's
that now.
ambiguity.
So Sarah, based on the board's prior discussion of the status of legacy, I was looking at this through that lens. And that's why the later paragraph that we were looking at concerning tier 1B is focused on the non-legacy areas in question. But I like Alex's suggestion of just cite the statute and say we need, because we can look more closely with a fine tooth comb, but based on the review thus far, it doesn't appear that, any of the municipalities certified or their river corridor and flood hazard bylaws. And there wasn't any information provided concerning infill.
The checklist for each of the tier 1B communities had a checkbox for bylaws.
Nope, it had a
Well,
checkbox
it's
for
for-
saying that they're including areas of infill. Or it
Okay.
had a checkbox that said,
Yeah,
It- and then only some of the municipal resolutions attested to having bylaws for both. And if you look at Rutland's tier 1B submission, I think it's clear that they're interpreting the statute the way that Sarah and I just articulated.
and I agree with that.
Yeah,
Janet and I looked at the wording of those municipal resolutions and
and the memo.
the
Yeah,
Rutland RPC, it appears, is interpreting it in the way that Janet and Sarah just expressed. We didn't get, for Northwest, municipal resolution language that would inform how Northwest is interpreting this explicitly, that I'm just able to decipher from the submission.
and Kirsten, I'm just reading your paragraph, and I think it's the same as what Sarah and I are saying.
It is, and that's why I'm saying, I think, I want to revisit this. This was a quick sort of draft. It's saying, for the non-legacy mapped flood hazard areas and river corridor areas, either establish that they're infill under the rule, or that there's bylaws
Right.
that would support that it's non-infill development area, like has that,
And that's
yeah,
that's the
and that's what you and
interpretation.
Sarah are,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
um,
or omit the area in question, like,
right.
yep.
I think I might call this 1, 2, and 3 because there are too many part A's, B's, and C's throughout here and might be confusing. Is that okay? Um,
Mm-hmm.
did you have a 3 or don't? Yeah. 3 would be alternatively. You didn't have a C.
Oh, I thought it was C or, omit the area.
Yeah, this
Um,
alternatively would be your C.
Yeah. So are we trying to get this discussion to the finish line today and not have it occur Friday morning?
Yeah, I guess that's what Sarah's saying.
Well, what I'm
So-
saying is I think you have some work to do, some polishing before we vote to approve this, which I think we need to do on Friday, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the plan.
And so you don't want to save this question for Friday. You want to resolve it now.
Would that be the most helpful to like let you
Yeah,
guys get back
it
to
would
drafting?
be actually.
Okay.
It would be. I just was worried that it was going to take us another hour and a half.
We're done. So you now have your direction. Go polish tomorrow.
Well, so there's the
No,
other areas.
I don't
that-
think we're done. I think Kirsten has some wording here. It actually reflects what Sarah and I interpreted. And then Alex has an alternative approach, which is to say, provide more information about areas in flood hazard and river corridor areas that are included in planned growth area and village areas, as well as non-legacy centers, right?
No, my suggestion was specific to tier 1B. Are we in tier 1B right now?
Yes, we are in
Okay.
tier
Yeah,
one
this
B.
is tier
Yeah.
1B.
So it was just to say that more information is needed for the areas mentioned in the first part of the paragraph to demonstrate compliance with 60, 33, whatever it is regarding tier 1B.
I would be comfortable with that, Alex. We want to get this to the finish line, and I do feel this is a very substantive, sort of threshold question with respect to these plan reviews that I think it'd be ideal if, all 5 of us could be part of the conversation. So I would rather leave it more broad and referencing the statute.
Right, and the upshot is, from my standpoint, is if we do this, saying more information, then I would delete everything before that, not everything, but I would delete from additional information is needed concerning non-legacy areas, just delete all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah. But again, you can polish tomorrow. And yeah, honestly, I think this needs a legal interpretation long term, not for this review, but I think this is something we need to give our legal team and say, different board members are reading the statute differently. Can you give us an opinion on how it should be read?
Oh, Rebecca's here.
Well,
Right, but
she's
we're
not
not-
going to
we're
do
not
it
I don't
now,
want
but her
one
hand
now.
is up.
Yeah.
No.
But her
Oh,
hand
no,
is
I-
up.
I know.
So-
I
Well,
agree.
good, because I'm not brave enough to give one on the fly. I did write down the conversation so that we can look into it for you. That's all I was going
Okay,
to say,
thanks.
just to confirm that we'll
Yeah.
be looking into it.
Okay. All right, so this is the tier 1B part. We haven't finished with the rural yet. Right?
Correct.
We had just started the roll.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, I don't want to forget this. It's not a Roman numeral 4, it's a,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Arabic
that, it's
4.
a regular 4.
yeah. Okay, so this wetlands question, I thought that that was for, okay, this is for rural conservation. Okay, so this is where they should make sure that areas in the rural area, that wetlands over 5 acres in the rural areas should be classified as rural conservation.
And just to be clear, I had identified one wetland area that was in excess of 5 acres that was mapped in from memory, either village area or planned growth area. I think it was a village area. And that's what prompted
The
some
question.
inquiry of like, okay, well, how has the 5 acre standard for wetlands been addressed in this plan? And then Alex and I looked more
yeah.
closely at the mapping methodology and determined that it appears that you could have a wetland in excess of 5 acres. That it may
In
not
those
be 100.
areas, yes, but not in the rural areas. So in the rural areas, if there are areas of wetlands that are 5 acres or more, they should be rural conservation. And
Yeah.
so the question is, did you find areas in the rural areas or wetlands in the rural areas that were that big that weren't classified that way?
I did not look. Like,
Okay.
I did not, I can't tell you. I can let you know on Friday. I just haven't found time to do that map review.
Or we could just ask them to do it.
I think that's the easiest thing. Please verify that. Or provide more information regarding your inclusion of wetlands greater than 5 acres in or rural conservation.
The figure 5 on page 114. Let's see, I think I have it open. Oh, maybe not.
I think it's exhibit 2.
What page was it?
114.
Okay, yeah.
So this says, what's included in the different areas, and in conservation, it just says parcels with more than 80% wetlands and portions of parcels with more than 50 acres of wetlands.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair
Question.
Yeah. So confirm that mapping of rural conservation encompasses all mapped wetlands over 5 acres in size in rural areas. Or
Looks good.
outside of growth areas or something like that, because they can be in the others. Should I say outside of growth areas?
And I think you've got it covered with saying in rural areas.
I think it looks good. And for what it's worth, if the area measuring tool on our map viewer is working properly, I just quickly found a wetland that spans the Fairfax Fairfield border that's 60 acres and is mapped as rural ag forest, not rural conservation. So it seems like it might be an issue.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And then advisory recommendations,
I think the last bullet is redundant and can be
Right,
eliminated.
so I'll take that one out. And then these two were mine. Night Island and Wood Island are state parks offering primitive camping. Consider mapping them primarily as rural conservation rather than rural ag forestry. And then in Enosburg, there's a campground, Brookside Campground, that looks like a permanent RV park and doesn't look like you can do anything on that except sit in your RV next to somebody else's RV. So I don't think ag forestry is appropriate for that.
Why wouldn't recreation be appropriate for both of those islands and campgrounds as opposed to rural,
Could be.
general?
It could be. So you want me to add that?
Or just say, consider mapping them as another future land use type and let them pick the other rather than telling them which ones that they should put them in. Just a suggestion. I don't really care, Janet. I think of state campgrounds and parks as rec areas, and it seems like some of our regions have mapped them as such. So I'm not sure why Night Island would be any different than other, Lake Carmi or what have you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they were included in rural ag and forestry. That's a good catch.
So, okay, I think we're done.
Was there
Right.
anything else that we need to look at with respect to the tier 1B? Like
Let's see.
we've gone to the end of it, but I don't think we've.
We got very focused on the flood hazard and river corridor areas. I didn't really pay much attention to the rest.
Is there anything else besides that you need our input on before the sort of
Maybe,
final
but let's
sweep?
finish this first. This first bullet is reflective of the fact that we've asked for some changes, or there may be some changes to underlying land use areas. And if so, then it may affect tier 1B status. So if required revisions change the status, they just need to follow, we just need to follow that. Alex, you're muted.
Thank you. Just change the word at the end of that sentence to areas instead of centers. You have village centers listed twice. The last one should be village areas.
Yep, got it. Okay, submit municipal resolutions.
Yeah, so I think there's 17 municipalities and they provided resolutions for 10 of them. So there's, with the final submission, they will need that. And then the city of St. Albans expired town plan.
Yep,
And then that last bullet should be bolded.
yeah, I'll do that. Without tracking changes.
Yeah, that's just a mapping or GIS issue, right? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
just want the tier 1B areas to be one polygon for a particular area, not the compilation of polygons for each of the constituent FLUs.
Right, because what they've sent is future land use areas that are being proposed for tier 1B. It's exactly the same as the future land use map.
Yep.
And we need a new data layer that that we can incorporate seamlessly into our jurisdictional tier map. and the and the Rutland Regional Planning Commission submitted it that way.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I'm
And the
gonna
way
need to
this
run
is
in 5
currently
minutes.
drafted, oh, you have to leave in 5? So the way this is currently drafted, the paragraph with the deleted text in red would be a 5th bullet.
yeah.
And would be bolded.
Okay, let me just do this.
And then there was an advisory recommendation about Richford doesn't have flood hazard bylaws and would benefit from that.
Yeah.
I think we're almost done, Sarah.
And then there was this
Oh, and then this
suggestion
was
to
something
pay
I
attention.
threw in. It's like this
Yeah.
region, like the flood hazard mapping is, you know,
So let me just say that I know with the Lamoille, that was something that FEMA was working on for ages. And I know that there's been a lot of hard work on the regional level as well as the state level. And it's through no fault of their own that needle has not moved forward.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is just
the-
saying, if it does, it's just a placeholder.
Well, were you
Um,
okay with that advisory recommendation? The last one that I put in about that?
I think it's fine. I think
Okay.
it's just a point of information, really. So I had trying to find some comments. Oh,
Oh,
there's something about many colleges and universities serving the region's residents that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense to me.
well, it's.
Can I just
it's
take
in-
that out?
That's fine, but I think it was just meant, that's from their plan, and it was meant to identify that there are colleges and universities that serve the region. They are located outside of the region, but they're within
Yeah.
Vermont.
Well, there
So-
could be many that are not in Vermont. They could be all over the
Sure.
world. So
Yeah,
I think it's just a little funny
Yeah.
to put it in our response.
yeah.
Okay.
Sarah, did you have anything else that you wanted to call attention to before you go? Because we can keep going when you leave.
No, other than I will just note for the record, I think we had talked about trying to get to some of CCRPC on Friday. And so I have a draft together of the goals section, but not the future land use map section that Janet is hopefully going to help me clean up to get to the board. I'll get that to you just maybe as an introductory, if not before Friday, on Friday. But I realize this has been a lot more and our attention has needed to be focused here. So, and I think that's taken all of our collective bandwidth. So there is something, it's just a little bit backed up in all of this.
Well, thank you for taking all the time that you have to help with Northwest, Sarah. So
Team
this
effort.
was. Look forward to getting out from under this one and then tackling Chittenden. So this was a lingering question about that.
Whether the language has to require reference to particular forest management
Sound.
practices.
Sound forest practices.
Right.
There's a
And
requirement that include, sound agriculture and forest practices, and there wasn't something in the plan for forestry, and we had discussed, that the
We
plan
were
should
split on
include
this.
something, but it's not,
Yeah.
wasn't clear to me if it's a
Yeah.
requirement or advisory.
I think before I jump, what I'll say is maybe if we can make this an advisory of
Yeah.
please consider revising the plan to include.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the intent is that all the regional plans have specified what is sound forestry and agricultural practices. I think you can make a reference in.
right. And it's not like regional planning commissions have any say in how anybody is managing their forests. They have no authority. on the matter. So I feel like it's not a requirement. Sorry, I lost my place because I forgot to hit.
So while you're finding it, I think my memory was we were split. Sarah was pretty adamant that the reference to the 2015 separate plan for forests in this region was an adequate reference to
Yeah.
address this statutory requirement. And
Yeah.
I think I actually was on Kirsten's side saying I'm not sure it is, and I think maybe we should require that they say something. And I think I said simple reference to AMPs and BMPs, would be sufficient. So I think we were split. I think we still are split 2-2. So if Brooke could join us on Friday and we could determine whether goal
the
9 is a
tiebreaker.
required or an advisory, then and if not, we can hammer it out without her. But
Okay.
I think I'm still in the same place.
I am too.
I mean, where does it say that it's required that they reference? I don't know. It just.
It is in
And
this-
they do reference a plan. So I don't know if Brooke's gonna be back on Friday. If
Well,
not,
we can look at the statute. That sometimes helps. I remember thinking the
well,
same
we
way,
have it
Janet,
right
and-
there above the,
Okay, so
so it's right
stop.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, so go back
So
up
I need to
goal
jump.
8.
Yep.
So maybe
Thank
what
you,
I
Sarah.
could ask for Friday is that's our homework, is we look at that. And I'll let Rebecca think about whether or not she has time or bandwidth to advise us at all on that specific issue.
We'll see you Friday,
So-
Sarah.
so it's D.
Mm.
Sound forest and agricultural management practices should be encouraged.
So I would say two things from a statutory construction. It's there. It's clearly stated. So it should be in the plan. But
And they reference a plan.
they don't reference sound forest and agricultural management practices.
All
But
right.
but
All
I
right,
will
I'm
also
giving up.
say,
I'm giving up.
well,
I
I'm just gonna,
will-
I'm also saying it's a should, right? So it's
Oh,
actually
But it's
So
a
it's not a
requirement.
requirement.
It's a requirement element that they should do that they should that they should encourage, that the RPC is,
Should, but not shall encourage.
Yeah, that monkey wrench, right, in statutory language, but that's how I always interpret or been told to interpret that language, that should is advisory
yeah.
and shall is required. And so I suppose you could make the argument, Janet, since you're the only one left on that side of the argument, that it doesn't need to be a required revision because it's an advisory piece of statute for that goal anyways.
So are you conceding, Alex?
Oh, I'm talking on both sides of the issue.
Well,
Sorry,
shoot.
that's my way. I don't see the problem, of telling
In
them that.
requiring it?
Yeah, it's adding a couple sentences to flesh out the reference to that larger plan. That specifically speaks to the language we had here.
Statute's a bit confusing because it says required and then should, like it's a little self-contradictory in a way. But I hear you on the should, like it.
We have everything
can
else
decide on Friday
figured out.
morning.
Yeah, if we have everything
Yeah,
else figured
let's-
out Friday except for this, we can thrash it for another 2 minutes on Friday and somebody will
Okay.
concede.
Well, the other thing that I haven't done is articulated our statutory conundrum about centers and historic and civic, assets within them.
Yeah, it's
So
a tough
we were
one.
gonna add that.
Right, that's how we
Somewhere.
left it, that we would. Yeah, this is another one.
Oh, and this one I just indicated, maybe it doesn't have to be a new map. They can just discuss significant natural communities in the region. You okay with that? Instead of telling them that it should be a map?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
Alex's comment,
Kirsten-
so I'll go along
Kirsten-
with that.
Thought that something that I had added was confusing, so I changed it a little bit, Kirsten. Projects that generate traffic impacting adjacent communities are defined as having significant regional impacts, triggering NRPC review and input into the Act 250 process.
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
you can delete my comment.
Okay, I'll delete it later. Just looking to make sure we've hit them all. Okay, relocated. Okay. This was this is not requested revision then. This should be an advisory, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep, that was explained to us by Greta.
That was based
Yeah.
on the last meeting.
Yeah,
That's my interpretation.
oh. I'm gonna untrack changes because this is too difficult to figure out if you have changes
Sometimes you just
tracking.
have to do it that way.
So you just add
Yeah.
advisory recommendation and list that
Yeah.
one.
And I could change it a little bit to reflect what we just decided for the Wood and Night Islands. Oh, so maybe maybe we just want to say or here. How's that?
Yep, I like it.
I like it.
Okay. Add some discussion about, okay, so that's the last big thing right here. And I need to come up with a paragraph because I made that commitment. Oh, and did you redo this with Sarah, Kirsten?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay,
Enosburg, at the last meeting, there was discussion of like
right, because
separating
there's,
out Enosburg Village and Enosburg Town, and I think it's all one town.
well, it is, but there's an incorporated village and it just happens to, that Enosburg Falls coordinates planning with the town.
Yeah,
So I think we're okay to just say
leave
Enosburg
it all
here.
as one category.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah, or one entity.
except that this is,
Yeah,
don't
that
want
can go
this.
away.
yeah,
Yep.
okay.
I was in a, like, as you know, Janet, we were working on this until, late yesterday, first thing this morning, and then accepting track changes.
I know,
for
I was
purpose of
working
getting
on
the
it late
PDF
last
posted, and
night.
I didn't go back and sort of do a cleanup. So, and
Yeah,
then we
and,
also discussed the general formatting for
Well,
all the individual towns.
and I was trying to work on it last night, but I kept getting sleepy and it was
Mhm.
not a good idea to keep working on it. So,
This required revision for South Fairfax is good, but you'll notice as you scroll down that the word South Fairfax is inserted in some of the
Oh, in
other
Georgia,
communities like Georgia and such. So just
Georgia,
when
yeah.
scroll down and you'll see where there's big bold that
Oh.
yeah. So you keep scrolling a little bit and there it is.
Yep.
the
That
top
should say
of page
Georgia South,
33.
not Fairfax.
Is that the only that you saw,
Think-
Alex?
I think there's one more. Yep. Under
yep.
Grand Isle,
Yeah.
but this one's not South Grand Isle, so it's Grand Isle
It's-
Station.
Grand Isle
Yep.
Station.
So just delete the South before Grand Isle Station.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I did.
Thanks, Alex.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Okay. Verify board okay with wetland recommendation. This was for Village Center and Isle of Mott.
It wasn't completely clear to me from the discussion on Monday if the board wanted to retain the wetland component as an advisory recommendation.
Okay. Um,
Do you want to look
I
at it
thought-
quickly again to jog everyone's memory?
I need to look at it. Let me zoom in there.
So Isle of Mott.
I'm gonna share.
oh, let me unshare. Oh,
I think I
This was
can
where
bump you.
a
okay.
couple board members had some comments and were noting the overall geometry and made some specific suggestions for how to maybe consider shortening it up, adding depth. And then Sarah had flagged the wetland. And I think, as we've been discussing the wetlands, I don't know. I just want to be clear. I just want to make sure that I'm clearly understanding how the board wants to handle the wetland related recommendations in the village centers.
I think it's
Like,
okay
I
that
think-
they're there.
Yeah, I think it's okay that they're there too.
I agree, and I think it's helpful to identify them where we've made these observations of more significant wetland, more substantive wetland areas.
I'm fine with that.
Do you want to go back to the
Identifying.
text and just,
Yeah, and you do that. You include several areas of wetlands.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share. So you say that here.
Janet, we can't see the text, just so you know.
Oh, I thought I clicked it. It's not working.
It is
Is it
now.
Now I
working
can see
now?
it.
Okay. So what are we?
So this is saying to consider reducing the western terminus on School Street to eliminate a larger wetland area. And
I
then
would do-
consider modifying the boundaries to reduce the extent of wetlands that are included.
I would delete the first sentence about School Street. The second, the final sentence is enough as an advisory. As wetlands are mentioned in both sentences, but more generally in the second one.
Okay.
I think that's
So-
fine.
Can I just ask, so remind me, does this not include the town office? in the Methodist Church. Was that my comment?
I'll check on, it was not my comment. I'll check on Google Maps to
Might
see.
have been mine.
You and Sarah both had comments about this one,
Yeah,
and I don't remember which one of you made that
yeah,
observation.
it was mine. It's not compact, but rather narrowly follows crossroads. Consider consolidating to include with a shorter extension that includes parcels on both sides. So I think, okay, I see.
It does
I'm-
include the Methodist Church. It does include their country store.
So the
I
Methodist,
think it
Methodist Church
doesn't.
is,
I think there's more than one church, maybe, in the Methodist. It's, how did I figure this out?
I don't know. I'm just looking at Google Maps and our future land use viewer, and it looks like the Methodist Church parcel is in the village center.
Okay. Okay. But not the Veterans Park and the town office?
Sorry, looking for those. I see the post
I
office.
think they're on the west.
Oh, there's Veterans Park and the town clerk. Okay, hold on. Yeah, School Street Extension is where those are, and
Can you share, Alex?
oh, sure, yeah. So
So,
I'm on the western extent of Alamo. I'll zoom out so you can see.
okay,
village
and where's
center.
where's the
Uh,
Methodist church?
So I gotta go back to the crossroads.
Oh,
Here's the crossroads, and the Methodist Church is here.
okay.
So it's the tail end of the village center. But then on the
where is
west,
the,
on the
yeah,
on the west side,
town clerk.
here's. And so I'm just gonna flip to Google Maps real quick. The town clerk is that large building
and
with
it's
solar on
included.
it, and it's
Oh,
included.
somehow,
Yeah,
you know, I
Veterans
need
Park
to
is also
retract.
included.
Yeah, somehow maybe I was just looking at I don't know what I was looking at. Okay, so I retract this.
want to share the text again?
Yeah. Uh, so it does include this. Okay. One can get a little turned around when looking at a map of a region and with lots of different GIS layers on and off. Anyway, okay, so we are working offline on the Sheldon issue.
So this is the language that, right, we viewed earlier in today's meeting that Sarah and I have come up with.
Okay. So this is good the way it is?
Well, from memory, you cut and pasted either
did.
village center or village area from,
Here to the other place?
right, do you remember doing that? But it was for one, it was
yeah.
either for village center or village area, it wasn't for
Okay.
both.
Okay.